It's so true, isn't it? We all crave that feeling of connection, of being truly seen and heard by the people around us. Our friendships, the bonds we share with our families, and those special love stories, they're all woven together by countless little conversations like tiny threads creating a beautiful tapestry. But what happens when those very talks, the ones meant to bring us closer, start to push us apart instead? Think about those moments after a conversation when you walk away feeling off. Maybe you felt misunderstood, or perhaps even a little bit hurt or frustrated. Often those negative feelings stem from small, almost unconscious habits we have when we communicate. These tiny patterns, repeated over time, can slowly erode the closeness we share with the people we cherish most. I've witnessed this play out so many times, not just in my own relationships with friends and family, but also in observing how others interact. You see people gradually drifting apart, engaging in frequent small conflicts, and simply not understanding each other anymore. And so often, the root cause lies in these subtle, negative communication habits that we're often completely unaware of. So let's really delve into some of these sneaky bad habits. We're not just going to offer the generic advice of listen more. We're going to carefully examine what these habits are, understand why they are so damaging, and explore how we can cultivate ways of talking that strengthen our friendships and love stories. Prepare to take a close look at your own communication style, because the key to deeper connections might just lie in recognizing and stopping these seemingly small things. 1. Anything you can do, I can do better. The habit of one-upping. The tendency to constantly one-up others in conversation is more than just a minor annoyance. It strikes at the heart of feeling valued and heard. At its core, this habit often stems from insecurity or a deep-seated need to feel important or competent. The individual engaging in this behavior might not even be consciously trying to diminish your experiences. Instead, they might be operating from a place of wanting to connect by sharing something they perceive as relevant, but their execution inadvertently creates a hierarchy of experiences where yours consistently falls short. Think about the subtle ways this can manifest. It's not always a direct, my problem was worse. It can be a shift in focus where your shared experience becomes a mere springboard for them to launch into their own narrative. For instance, if you mention feeling tired after a long day, they might immediately jump in with a detailed account of their sleepless night and demanding workload, effectively overshadowing your initial statement. The cumulative effect of these interactions can be significant. Over time, the person on the receiving end might start to feel a sense of emotional deflation. Why bother sharing your joys or struggles if they are consistently going to be met with a better version? This can lead to a gradual withdrawal from the relationship, as the individual learns that their experiences are not truly being acknowledged or valued within that dynamic. The conversation, which should be a space for mutual sharing and understanding, becomes a stage for one person to consistently outshine the other. To truly address this habit, it requires a conscious shift in focus from self-promotion to genuine curiosity about the other person. It involves actively listening not just to the words being spoken, but also to the underlying emotions and the significance of the experience for the speaker. Instead of immediately searching for a related personal anecdote, the focus should be on asking clarifying questions, expressing empathy, and allowing the other person's experience to hold its own weight. Recognizing that connection is built on shared understanding, not competitive storytelling, is the key to breaking this pattern. 2. The gentle dismissal. Undermining feelings softly. The dismissal of someone's feelings, even when delivered gently, can be profoundly damaging because it undermines their sense of reality and their right to feel what they feel. Phrases like, don't worry about it, or it's not a big deal, might seem like attempts at reassurance, but they often communicate that the other person's emotional experience is invalid or insignificant. This can leave them feeling not only unheard, but also potentially questioning their own emotional responses. Consider the impact of consistently hearing that your anxieties are unfounded or your sadness is unwarranted. Over time, this can lead to a reluctance to share vulnerable emotions, creating a barrier to intimacy and trust. The person might start to feel like their inner world is not safe or understood within the relationship. They might even begin to internalize the message that their feelings are somehow wrong or excessive. The act of quickly changing the subject when someone broaches a difficult or emotional topic sends a powerful, albeit often unintentional, message of avoidance. It can signal that you are uncomfortable with their vulnerability or unwilling to engage with their deeper emotional landscape. This can leave the person feeling isolated in their struggles and hesitant to turn to you for support in the future. Cultivating emotional validation involves actively acknowledging and accepting the other person's feelings without judgment or the need to immediately fix them. It's about creating a safe space for them to express their emotions freely. Phrases like, that sounds really difficult, I can see why you'd feel that way, or simply, thank you for sharing that with me, can be incredibly powerful. They communicate that you are present, you are listening, and you respect their emotional experience, even if you don't fully understand it. Recognizing that empathy involves stepping into the other person's emotional shoes rather than trying to pull them into your own perspective is crucial for fostering deeper emotional connection. 3. The monologue master, hogging the conversation. The me talk, where one person dominates the conversation and consistently centers it on their own experiences, needs, and interests, disrupts the fundamental reciprocity that healthy relationships require. While it might sometimes stem from enthusiasm or a desire to share, when it becomes a consistent pattern, it can leave the other person feeling invisible and unimportant. This conversational imbalance can manifest in various ways. It might involve a constant stream of personal anecdotes without any reciprocal inquiry about the other person's life. It could involve frequent interruptions, effectively cutting off the other person's attempts to contribute. Or it might involve a subtle but persistent redirection of the conversation back to the speaker's own experiences, even when the other person has initiated a different topic. Imagine consistently spending time with someone who enthusiastically recounts their day in minute detail but never asks about yours, or someone who, when you finally manage to share something, immediately finds a way to relate it back to their own experiences, effectively shifting the focus. Over time, this can create a significant power imbalance in the conversation and, by extension, in the relationship. The person on the receiving end might feel like their thoughts, feelings, and experiences are not valued or worthy of attention. This can lead to feelings of resentment, disengagement, and a gradual emotional distancing. Creating a balanced conversational dynamic requires a conscious effort to share the floor. It involves actively soliciting the other person's input by asking open-ended questions and genuinely listening to their responses. It means resisting the urge to interrupt and being mindful of the amount of time you are taking up in the conversation. A healthy dialogue feels like a shared journey, where both individuals feel equally heard, valued, and engaged. It's about recognizing that connection is built on mutual exchange, not on one person holding the conversational microphone. Beyond the big three, other subtle saboteurs. Beyond these more prominent communication pitfalls, a collection of other subtle habits can also erode the fabric of our relationships. Consider the constant cloud of negativity that some individuals carry into every conversation. While sharing difficulties is a natural part of human connection, a persistent focus on complaints and the negative aspects of every situation can be emotionally taxing for those around them. It can create a sense of weariness and a reluctance to engage, as interactions consistently leave the other person feeling drained and pessimistic. Then there's the well-intentioned, but often unwelcome offering of unsolicited advice. While the desire to help is admirable, jumping in with solutions before truly understanding or validating the other person's experience can make them feel unheard and as though their feelings are being dismissed as problems to be solved. Sometimes, what's truly needed is simply a listening ear and an acknowledgement of their feelings, not a quick fix. In our increasingly digital world, the pervasive presence of our phones can also subtly sabotage our connections. The act of constantly checking notifications or engaging with our devices during a conversation sends a clear message that our attention is divided and that the person in front of us is not our sole priority. This can lead to feelings of being undervalued and unimportant. Furthermore, our memory, or lack thereof, can have a subtle but significant impact. When someone shares something personal or important with us and we later fail to recall it, it can communicate a lack of attentiveness and care. Remembering details, even seemingly small ones, demonstrates that we were truly listening and that their experiences resonated with us. Finally, while humor can be a wonderful tool for connection, an over-reliance on constant joking can sometimes prevent the development of deeper emotional intimacy. Always deflecting with humor can create a barrier to vulnerability and make it difficult to engage in more serious and meaningful conversations. Recognizing the appropriate times for levity and for genuine emotional engagement is crucial for building strong and multifaceted relationships. Cultivating connection, talking our way closer. The path towards stronger and more fulfilling relationships is paved with conscious and compassionate communication. It begins with a commitment to active listening, engaging not just with our ears but also with our full presence. Our eyes, our body language, signaling that we are truly present and attentive to what the other person is saying, both verbally and non-verbally. This involves minimizing distractions and focusing our attention fully on the speaker. Crucially, it requires cultivating empathy and demonstrating that we care about how they feel. This means actively trying to understand their emotional perspective, even if we don't share the same feelings. It involves validating their emotions through acknowledging their experience and using phrases phrases that show we are hearing and understanding their emotional state. Building strong connections also necessitates creating genuine conversational space, ensuring a balanced exchange where both individuals feel empowered to share their thoughts and stories. This involves actively soliciting their input, asking open-ended questions, and being mindful of the time we occupy in the conversation, ensuring it feels like a collaborative dialogue rather than a monologue. While acknowledging difficulties is part of authentic communication, striving for a generally positive orientation in our interactions can significantly impact the overall tone of our relationships. This doesn't mean suppressing negative feelings, but rather balancing them with expressions of hope, gratitude, and optimism, creating interactions that are uplifting rather than draining. When the urge to offer solutions arises, we should practice mindful advice giving, first asking if the person is seeking advice before jumping in with our suggestions. Often the most valuable support we can offer is simply a listening ear and validation, rather than immediate problem solving. In our digitally saturated lives, making a conscious effort to be present in the moment by putting away our phones and minimizing other distractions during conversations demonstrates respect and prioritizes the connection with the person in front of us. It signals that they have our undivided attention and that our interaction with them is valued. Furthermore, demonstrating that we remember the important things they tell us by referencing past conversations and showing we have retained significant details communicates that we were truly listening and that their experiences matter to us. This builds trust and strengthens the feeling of being seen and understood. Finally, navigating the nuances of communication involves discerning when to use humor and when to engage in more serious and vulnerable conversations. While laughter is a powerful connector, a consistent avoidance of deeper emotional engagement can hinder the development of true intimacy. Being able to shift between lightheartedness and sincerity allows for a more multifaceted and meaningful connection. By consciously integrating these principles into our communication habits, we can transform our conversations from potential sources of disconnection into powerful tools for building stronger, happier, and more fulfilling relationships. It's through these mindful exchanges that we cultivate the deep sense of being seen, heard, and understood that we all truly crave.